As it is in the Jewish tradition, when it's said that in each age a bird is formed of advanced souls who come together to guide and elevate mankind, so it is also in the Buddhist tradition, because it's said that in any age there are those bodhisattvas who come to guide and elevate mankind. And numbered amongst these is she who is called Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin is said to have a myriad of faces. But there's a story of a time when Kuan Yin took the form of the daughter of a fisherman and his wife. And although her hands were gnarled and scarred from gutting and cleaning fish, her appearance was beautiful. She radiated such a light that when she went down to the stall to sell her fish, people came just to look at her countenance. But of course, amongst those were many young men who coveted her hand in marriage. But because of her radiance, none dared to approach her or her parents. But one day there was a young man whose love for her was so great that when she was walking down the street in the town square, he raced up to her, accosted her and said, "Please, please, please, won't you marry me? I love you so." And other young men, hearing this, also dared to jump out in front of her and say, "I want to marry you too, I want to marry you too." And she said, "Well, I cannot marry all of you." But she said, "Let us meet in the town square in a month's time, and anyone who can recite to me the Heart Sutra, I will marry." So all of these young men went back and they studied the Heart Sutra. They learned the Heart Sutra. So in a month, when they came back to the town square, each of these young men was able to recite verbatim the contents of the Heart Sutra. Now, Kuan Yin, in this embodiment, again said, "But I cannot marry all of you. Come together in 1 month's time, and whoever has an understanding and can explain the meaning of the Heart Sutra, I will marry." So the month passed, and the young men pondered on the Heart Sutra, but there was only one, whose name was Mira, who decided that the only way to learn and understand the deep meaning of the Heart Sutra was to seek out one who knew and could explain it. So Mira found an old sage who sat giving dissertations day after day, whether people were there with him or not. And Mira sat with this old sage and listened to his wisdom. And after a few days, he deeply understood the meaning of the Heart Sutra. So when the month was over and all the young men gathered in the square, with the townspeople, of course, witnessing, none of the young men was able to express this deep meaning except Mira, who stood up and expounded in the most beautiful way the meaning of this great, great truth. Kuan Yin said, yes, you are the one I will marry. Come to my house in a few days' time, and we will be wed. So Mira, very excited, presented himself at the door of the fisherman and his wife on the due day. The door was opened and he was greeted and welcomed and invited in. And he was escorted to a room, and the door was opened and he was guided in. But when he entered the room, there was no one there. But on the other side of the room was an open window. And when Mira went to the window and looked out, he could clearly see footsteps in the sand. He followed these footsteps, and they led to the edge of the ocean, where the fisherman and his wife caught their fish. And there at the edge of the ocean were a pair of golden sandals. As Mira looked at these, he had a revelation. He realized that he had been brought here and blessed by none other than the Bodhisattva, Kuan Yin herself. Mira went off to be a great teacher, expounding, guiding and elevating mankind with this great sutra, the Heart Sutra. What is this Heart Sutra? What is it that in all our experiences and our learning have brought us to a place where we have had no choice but to seek an understanding of the meaning of life embodied in the Heart Sutra? Read it if you will. And what is it that comes forth when those experiences, that learning and that understanding come together? They're expressed. And so, life, mankind, is guided and elevated. cannot have one without the other. Just like we cannot have movement without stillness, and emptiness without fullness.